Welcome back to Draft Genius, and in this video we're going to take a look at Clemson running back Travis Etienne. Now we're going to start with his measurables. Travis Etienne is listed at 5'10" and 205 pounds, and if you ask me, there's absolutely no way he weighs 205 pounds. If you watch the film of Travis Etienne, you watch how he runs, you watch how guys bounce off of him, you watch the things he does on the field, you can see that he's not 205 pounds. If you ask me, I think he's closer to 230 pounds. But overall, he looks great. You know, he passes the eye test, very well put together, really solid upper and lower body, really large legs, which is a really important thing for running backs, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But overall, in his career, he's a 4-year player, basically a 4-year starter, just like Najee Harris was a 4-year player at running back for Alabama. The only difference is Travis Etienne got his opportunity to be the guy a little bit sooner than Najee Harris. So he's played a bit more football than Najee Harris overall as the lead back, and he's played a lot of good football just like Najee Harris. Now, like I said, with Najee Harris playing 4 years at running back, some teams probably will have questions about the wear and tear and really be concerned with how much of a beating you've taken, you know, over those years, and that can be an issue. But I don't think Travis Etienne has had any significant injuries. He has 55 games under his belt at Clemson at running back, so that's a lot of football that he's played. But he's been a very productive player pretty much from day one. Freshman year, stepped on the scene at Clemson, shared carries, but ultimately ended up leading the team in rushing, 766 yards and 13 touchdowns as a freshman. His sophomore and junior year are really where he started to take off and establish himself as one of the best backs in the country. Sophomore year finished with 1,658 yards and 24 tutties. Junior year kept that thing rolling, 1,614 yards, 19 touchdowns to tack on to that. In this past season, took a little step back, statistically speaking, but still was very productive, 914 yards on 14 touchdowns. Now, as far as his career accomplishments, Travis Etienne is really very well decorated, has had a ton of accomplishments in his career. And to start off, he's the ACC's all-time leader in rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, total touchdowns, points, and yards from scrimmage. So he's had an absolutely prolific career. And not too many guys are able to go out there and be as productive in their careers as Travis Etienne was. Whether it be that they're not in school long enough or they're just not good enough to put up those types of numbers. And obviously Travis Etienne, he checks both of those boxes, being a 4-year player and producing pretty much from day one. But like I said, overall, just very prolific career. To add on to that, he has the most games with a touchdown in NCAA history, which is very impressive. I believe that number is 48, might be 46. I have to double check that. He's a 2-time consensus All-American, 2018 and 2020, 2-time ACC Player of the Year in 2018 and 2019, and he's played in 2 national championship games. He's won one of those, lost the other, so he's played a lot of good football. He's put up huge numbers, and he's done all of that at the highest level. When the spotlight is the brightest in national championship games and bowl games and in really high pressure situations, Travis Etienne, he's just gone out there and he's been absolutely productive in all those situations. So let's move on to the film and what Travis Etienne does out there on the field. As a runner, he's a one-cut type of guy. But to go along with that, he's extremely physical, and he's the definition of a downhill runner. He can pick up all those tough yards and short yardage situations. He's a physical player. He's a guy that you're going to have to get multiple bodies around when he has the ball in his hands, because it's going to be very difficult to tackle him one-on-one, especially if he breaks to the second level and you got DBs, safeties, corners, and you got those types of guys trying to get out there and make tackles on him in the open field. It's going to be really difficult. He has incredible balance, contact balance, and when you watch him on film and guys go out there and they try to hit him, guys are just bouncing off of him, and they're just falling off of him easily, and it's not really affecting him. He'll run through the line, take a hit, a guy will bounce off of him and he'll just keep going and never break stride like he wasn't hit. And that just tells me that he's extremely strong, extremely well put together, and has an extremely strong lower body, like I mentioned before. It's really difficult for guys to hit him high. It's really difficult for guys to hit him low because he's got really big legs. And like I said, guys just bounce off of him. And he's able to go out there and break arm tackles really easily. So he does a good job of showcasing that type of ability out there on the field. Like I said, physical, downhill runner, going to be hard to tackle no matter what. But Travis Etienne, he's not just some big bruising back. I think he has really good short area quickness. And he has a feel for finding openings in the defense. You know, he's another patient back. He doesn't rush it. You know, he's gotten better with that over the years as well. But extremely patient, has a good feel for finding openings within the defense. And once he finds it, he hits it. And once he hits it, he's extremely difficult to bring down. Now, he's not a guy that, you know, once he breaks out in the open field, he's not a guy that's going to try to put a ton of moves on you. And like I said before, he's a one cut guy, and he's going to get going downhill, and he's going to force you to make a tackle in open field. You know, he knows he has the speed, which he does have once he breaks free in the open field. And he also knows that he can run through you and force you to miss a tackle. So that pressure is all on you as a defender trying to tackle him in open field. You got to go and decide, how do you want it? You want him to run past you? You want to try to beat him and get an angle on him? Well, he's got the speed to run past you. You want to be physical and try to take a chance and tackle him one-on-one? He's strong enough to run through you. So it's a pick your poison type of thing with Travis Etienne. And I think those skills are what define him as a player, man. Really, really impressive stuff he shows out there. Now, as far as his straight line speed, he's not a guy that gets from 0 to 100 in 5-6 seconds. He's not that type of guy. It takes him a little bit longer to get going to top speed, but there's plenty of film of Travis Etienne just running past guys once he gets going. So I do think he has long speed to be able to take it the distance in the league. I just think it takes him a little bit longer to get going. But moving on to his ability as a pass catcher, I think Travis Etienne is very comfortable catching the ball out of the backfield. Doesn't look to have any glaring issues to me. I wouldn't say he's a matchup nightmare or anything like that, but he has the ability to do the things that he needs to do. And at the end of the day, he's a running back, so it really all depends on how much you value your running backs as receivers within your offense. So it all depends, but like I said, Travis Etienne can go out there and do the things that he needs to do. He's definitely athletic enough to go out there and beat a Mike Backer. You know, he can run option routes and stuff like that from the slot, but I wouldn't get too complex or too crazy with what I have him doing out there and how he's used as a receiver. Like I said, he can do what he needs to do. He can give you enough as a receiver, but he doesn't blow me away, or he wouldn't keep me up at night with his ability as a receiver, but he can give you more than enough as a pass catcher. In pass protection, like I said, he's a physical back. Overall, he's just a physical type of player, so he's going to stick his nose in there and hit a guy. You know, he's not going to get run through. Very well put together, and I think he's closer to 230 pounds rather than 205 pounds, what he's listed at. He's very well put together, very strong. He's going to stick his nose in there, and he can hold up against a blitzing linebacker. I don't think that's an issue with him. Where I think he can improve in pass pro is hand placement. You know, like I said, he's one of those guys that's physical, and he likes to throw the shoulder around and really pop guys and hit those guys because he can do it. But guys in the league, they're going to be a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more capable, you would think, of defeating that type of block. So Travis Etienne, you know, if he works on his hand placement a little bit, if he can strike and hold on and maintain blocks as opposed to just throwing the shoulder, I think that definitely will help. But I don't see any issues with him wanting to go out there and block or not being a physical enough player to go out there and hold up against blitzing linebackers. I don't see that with him, and I think he's more than capable of being pretty good in pass protection. So overall, Travis Etienne, he had a prolific career. Like I said, 4-year starter, basically. ACC's all-time leader in basically every rushing category. The only concern that I can see teams having with him is the fact that, he's 4-year starter, has that wear and tear on him, hasn't had any significant injuries, but we all know the nature of playing running back in the NFL. Playing running back at any level, honestly, it's a physical position. You get hit a lot. You're gonna take a beating. And with Travis Etienne, he's a physical runner. His style of play is really physical. So there could be potential for injuries. You never know, but that's the nature of the game. That's the nature of the position, and those are the things that you're going to have to consider if you're an NFL front office. Travis Etienne, he also gives you special teams value, which is something that I didn't talk about before, but he provides that. He returned kicks for Clemson, and I honestly think he's the perfect guy to be a kick returner. But I don't envision him doing that for obvious reasons. I do believe wherever he goes, he's going to be a significant part of that team's run game, and the return days are pretty much over unless he absolutely has to do it. He can absolutely step in there and be an emergency returner if he needs to. So I don't think that's an issue, but I don't see him doing that too much in the league. Maybe a little bit early on, if he's not getting as many carries or if he's sharing carries and things like that. But he has that special teams value. I just don't see him doing that for too much longer in his career. But overall, in my opinion, I think, honestly, if I had to decide, I would say Travis Etienne is the best back in the draft. And it seems like people have honestly forgotten about him a little bit. Like I said, he didn't have the gaudy numbers that he put up in his sophomore and junior seasons, but he was still very productive, and he still has a skill set that should warrant more attention. I don't think there's a ton of standout guys at the running back position that are coming out in this draft, but I do think Travis Etienne is the closest thing to that. Not sure if any running back is going to go in the first round, but if it happens, I could see Travis Etienne being that guy, and I think it will be well worth it.